I think it's quite possible that if Presidents Trump and Xi meet, they'll end up with a truce. Because remember, that's what happened at the last G20. So I think China is setting out its stall first, saying that what they don't want is 25% tariffs on Chinese imports into the United States, and certainly not on all Chinese imports. And of course, the Huawei thing is a direct reminder of what happened in Argentina at the last G20 summit. The Chinese and the Americans thought on the sidelines they were getting somewhere, and then the Chinese returned home and found that the CFO of Huawei, who was in Canada, was detained under house arrest. So in other words, they know that this set of trade talks is broader than trade. It's going to be about Huawei, about investment. And they're essentially saying, these are what we want. And if you agree to these, then we can make some progress. But I'm sure the U.S. side, Brian, will also have the things it wants before they can go back to the negotiating table.
And I'm sure they will smile in front of the camera. What do you think, Linda, will happen behind the scenes? You think it will be acrimonious, or can the two sides come to any kind of an agreement?
I think there's a pretty good chance there'll be a truce. And the reason is because both Presidents Xi and Trump have economic reasons for wanting this. America has a 2020 election coming up. We saw that, of course, with the first Democratic debates. That's beginning to heat up. Next year is President Xi's promised moderate prosperity for his people. And this is one of the milestones he set for himself. So the short-term economic damage will mean that both sides will want to come to some type of truce or an agreement so they can at least resolve this phase of the trade talks. But the sticking points are going to be the same ones that we've had when the trade talks didn't progress. So, for instance, they want to have, the Americans want legal changes in China to ensure that Chinese promises are kept. China is seeing themselves being forced to open up more of their market, and they don't see equivalent opening from the United States. Now, of course, that's because America is already more open than China, but politically, that's hard for the Chinese leadership to stomach. So I would say those are the two things that if they can politically stomach getting that across the line, then I think there's a lot of economic reasons to do a deal.
Linda, not a lot of time left. Quickly, though, if we do get a deal, now it's unlikely, but if we get some kind of a deal, hey, we have a deal, we worked it out, do we immediately raise our global GDP estimates by a few tenths?
Yeah, the uncertainty would lift. But I think the best we could hope for is they come to an agreement. There'll be a truce. They'll set 90 days or so to talk. And maybe at the end of the 90 days, they come to an agreement that they could move forward on. But whether or not that really resolves all these trade issues on technology, Brian, I doubt it. But markets will be relieved that some uncertainty will be lifted, at least for a short period.